Today's lesson will be on the beings that came from the Draco Constellation. Dragons in Greek mythology have inspired the constellation's name, meaning dragon in Latin. The constellation is known as Landon, the dragon who guarded the golden apples of the Hesperides. Hercules killed Landon during his 12 labors after he was tasked with stealing the golden apples from the tree. In another account, the Athenian goddess of wisdom, Minerva, took Draco by the tail and put it into the sky during the battle for Mount Olympus. Draco has also been identified in early Christianity as the serpent that tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden. The Babylonian text suggests dragons to be of the ruling class with divine rule over man. There are many stories centered around the Draco constellation that have been part of the human collective for some time, and there is a specific reason for that we will delve deep into. Draco stars are not very bright, and for that reason are hard to see in the night sky, which can only be seen in the North Hemisphere, as it is always located above the North Pole. For this reason, it can be seen all year round, but those living in the Southern Hemisphere will never see this long constellation. There are 13 stars that make up the main constellation. The head of the dragon consists of 4 stars in a trapezoid, like a pyramid missing its top cornerstone, located just north of Hercules constellation. From there, the dragon's body winds its way through the sky, ending between the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. The most notable deep sky objects in Draco include the Cat's Eye Nebula and the Tadpole Galaxy, as well as the one Miser object called the Spindle Galaxy, which contains more than 100 billion stars. For this reason, Draco has stars that range from 500 million to 8 billion years old. Yes, it is time to know the reptilian race are also a generalized name for the specific group of dragon-like beings called the Anunnaki, also sometimes known as giants, lizard people, draconians, and saurons or reptoids. They are mentioned in the Sumerian tablets as the makers of man to help mine for gold on Earth, one of their main resources for energy. Dragons, serpents, and lizard worship have been the foundations of many ancient civilizations, and still in today's world. In Mesopotamia, particularly in Sumer, where the Sumerian tablets were created, the symbol of the dragon became intimately connected with the ruling elite. The Anunnaki are the ruling elites from a particular exoplanet called Nibiru, within the Draco constellation. They are also known as the Watchers and the Nephilim in the Bible, as the winged fallen angels who bred with humans. Those with particular bloodlines in the ruling class believe themselves to be from the bloodline of extraterrestrial beings. They have been here for a long time. When the majority of Earth's people's consciousness entered the 4th dimension of Gaia heart space around the early 200s, humans started to recognize the reptilian presence here as a whole. As it was seemingly scary information for many, not part of this group, it was also a pathway to the liberation of spirit by awakening to their presence. The reptilians merged with Earth consciousness as 4D beings as they rode in on what is called an energy wave, which is an energetic pulse of consciousness that was introduced into the collective quickly and deliberately. This caused mass confusion and fear in the early 2000s because of the reptilians' part in the history of control over the human race. Humans are spiritual beings, but they are easily controlled to work for the reptilian beings when they forget their true nature of themselves as powerful, immortal energy. Because mankind in the past looked for outside rulers and gods instead of inside of themselves, they created the narrative in the collective where they are ruled. Only until humans each see themselves as vessels for creational energy will they remain in the lower dimensions of Earth under their rule. Yes, it is true. Each individual who raises their vibrational energy into the higher realms of consciousness and becomes sovereign beings become liberated from them, never to be really harmed or influenced in any way. The Draco Reptilians have many different types of beings living amongst the Draco constellation and among other stars now today. Some are very benevolent and lived in Atlantis with the Lyrans in harmony. Beautiful creatures they were of different shimmering colored scales that radiated many colors at the same time. They had almost humanoid features and walked upright on 2 legs, but had mainly reptilian-like features becoming known around the galaxy as the Lizzies, or the lizard beings. They are advanced in energy manipulation as sorcerers and were some of the main reasons why Atlantis did eventually fall. This caused the split from the Lyran group, in which it caused the Reptilians to move to other planets like Sirius and Orion. A small faction of the ones involved with Atlantis did not settle down on a new planet, but instead became space pirates with their ship in constant motion looking for more Earth-like planets. Back in Draco, after many of the Reptilians' time in Atlantis, there was a huge split between many factions of them. Some of the Anunnaki Reptilians evolved into peaceful beings that are not concerned with humanity at all and left Earth alone. And they today act as guides and representatives of the Draco Constellation within the Galactic Federation. Their role is to provide inside information to humanity and other beings around the galaxy on the weakness of their kind who came to Earth to try to dominate. They have many Starseed souls who have harnessed their energy on Earth and act as energy mediators between the benevolent and malevolent groups. A small faction of the negative group of Reptilians have been involved with the Pleiades, and battles between them have taken place. Pleiadians feel it is their duty to help protect and warn humans about them, since the same group destroyed a particular home planet of the Pleiades. Many of the Pleiadian starseeds here on Earth have this in their memories as the ones who dealt with the battle with the lizards and are cautious by nature of seeing their hidden influence on Earth. In fact, one of the main reasons Pleiadians entered into Earth's collective is to help liberate humanity in ways that they have learned. Reptilians are chameleon-like beings. They can shapeshift or take on the skin and texture of any being around them. Their eyes have a second covering and pupils often are in a split-like shape. The ones on Earth do not have wings, but rather look like humanoid forms of lizards. They can have pearly white skin, brown, green, or gray-scaled skin when not camouflaged. The white dragons are the ones considered the leaders, while the other colors are their foot soldiers. They have developed a way to blend into high-ranking positions in society and even are involved with secret organizations that they have helped establish, the Illuminati being one of these groups that they are involved in at this time. But there are many others, including the KKK. It is not a coincidence that the Grand Master of the KKK clan was also known as the White Dragon, since it is also part of their social structure they like to create here as well. They are not really part of the masses and do not wish to have a normal human Earth life. They establish themselves only in seats of power you would never even know existed. The President of the United States and Congress has a shadow government that it must always include in its decisions, and this is where many of the reptilian beings hide. If you look at your dollar bill, you will find their symbolism, including the forked tongues and rattlesnake tails, and yes, it is their eye on top of that pyramid as the Watchers. They are currently underground in deep caverns hiding away. In fact, this is where they live since they do not want to live amongst humans and are subterraneous by nature, not liking the sun or atmosphere of the Earth right now. This particular group of beings think the worst of humans, even the starseeds they do not like, and oftentimes target in many ways to make them energetically feel powerless on Earth. The Reptilians reside underground on the east coast of North America near Washington, D.C., so that they can control at any time, whereas the Pleiadians are under the Earth on the west side of North America. In particular, they settled under California. The intelligence of these lizard beings vary. The Anunnaki back in the Draco planets, as part of the Galactic Federation, have evolved to be extremely intelligent beings that are adept at healing, time travel, and moving energy with their minds. The reptilian lizard groups that are here on Earth are those who live in lower level consciousness. They do not have their heart space opened, nor third eye, or higher. For this reason, they try to dominate others and have lost their sense of connection to Source. They are only sorcerers in their abilities to create physical illusions through control of the media, internet, and societal structures. It is quite easy to see past their illusions if you can look at the patterns established in society today. These beings have sadly not fully awakened or evolved like their brothers or sisters around Draco, and that is because this particular group of reptiles here are the Wanderers. They stay in their ships, going from planet to planet to suck resources dry and slowly take over a planet until they use up the natural resources and there is nothing left. Then they move on to the next one. Because these particular groups of reptilians have not lived on a planet long enough, they have not evolved their civilization, but rather depend on the resources of others. Unfortunately, they are estranged from their parent constellation and do not take the advice of their elders to live in peace with others. We can learn a lot from their tale, as beings that lose their roots and pillage their land resources who are forced to lead a life as pirates. Within the human subconsciousness collective, they represent the reptilian brain, a part of the brain known as the R complex, or which is the basal ganglia that developed over 100 million years ago in charge of survival instincts. That part of the brain still exists in those who act from their base emotions of survival of the fittest, irrational fear, and reactionary responses towards outside stimuli without higher thinking. Most people who use weapons on one another in the world are operating from this place of the mind. Also, the lower dimensions of carnal sex is the dominion of them, since they represent animalistic desire without engaging the higher mind, but simply using it as a pleasure for the senses. It is not a coincidence that in the mythology of the Bible, as soon as Adam took the apple from the serpent, sexual desire became one of the new experiences he and Eve were given with one another. This is also the reason why they started to breed with humans, as they are beings driven by these base desires and represent that also in humans who rape, molest, and grab at one another sexually without thinking. Sexual attraction is still a very big part of selling ideas within a society controlled by them. The positively aligned Draco beings can represent a strong and wise dragon archetype within the collective. These dragons are ancient beings that are keepers of wisdom and morality, and hold the laws of the universe deep within them. Many of the messages of the Law of One material from the Council of Ra and Emerald Tablets of Thoth came from this particular benevolent race of Anunnaki, who have moved past dominating mankind, but are interested in helping them evolve spiritually now. The Draco Constellation is one of the star systems along with Sirius and Orion that the Great Pyramid of Giza point towards, as the pharaohs believe their Ka or soul would rejoin with their extraterrestrial gods and goddesses. These beings influence a lot of ancient Egyptian beliefs and ideologies. Some information was badly misunderstood, while others served a purpose in helping mankind evolve spiritually and mentally. Only starseeds from the Draco Constellation can understand their true path. If you feel you are here on Earth in any way superior in nature to others, that is a karmic tie to the negative group of Dracos, and this may be your lifetime to learn about spiritual equality. If you feel you are a dragon or lizard soul that is here to peacefully integrate with Earth and share some of your gifts, then you are polarized to the positive or STO, service to other beings from the Draco Constellation. Only you can know your true path and what locked away memories you hold inside you from your past lives. The following exercises may help you get in touch with your Draco nature. I suggest writing them down so you can refer to them in the future, or simply just listen and think deeply here. Number 1. Have you ever felt a deep connection or vibration resonance with dragons, lizards, or reptiles? Do you often take their side in the story about dragons, or see the serpent that tricked Adam and Eve in the Bible as the good guy? Do you feel sorry for Smaug of J.R.R. Tolkien's story, The Hobbit? If so, this indicates you leaning towards this soul path in this lifetime. Write down your opinions about dragons and reptiles on Earth. Number 2. Any memories of past lives with Egypt? Do the pyramids, one of the main symbols of the Anunnaki reptilians, seem to really have a strong draw to you? Write down any dreams or visions you may have of being part of ancient Egypt. Number 3. Do you have an Rh negative blood factor? This is the hybrid human reptilian line that is said to have come from them when they were breeding with humans in the past. If you have this type of blood factor, you may have ties to them. Try to research and find out if you have this blood factor within you. Number 4. Because we as spiritual beings exist in multiple dimensions at the same time of existing on Earth right now, there are many souls who will choose to hold the reptilian vibration here now. If you can access this part of you, write down a bio of yourself as one of their starseeds or from a past life there. Do you have any regrets from the past? Any warning about Earth? Any excitements about the future? Number 5. If you sense Draco influence in you, what do you feel your mission is here to do on Earth? What are some gifts and abilities you may have that makes you feel different or unique? Brainstorm a few ideas. Number 6. Draw a picture of a dragon-like humanoid being. and what your higher guides may look like to you if you sense them in your life from the Draco Constellation projecting their thoughts to you. Take time to develop their image onto a piece of paper. When ready, go on to the next. Number 7. Part of the collective story is to learn to not fear anything outside of the self. If you do not resonate with lizard or dragon beings, what fear may you have about them, and how can you turn this fear into something positive within your own life? Number 8. Picture a vision of new Earth that takes place when technology and spiritual levels of human consciousness reach an equilibrium on a massive scale. How do you think the Draco beings will fit in with Earth society? Will they still be in hiding, or will they be integrated into society? Write down some ideas you have, which will help shape your reality experience of them. This serves as a great way to get over your fear about them by shaping how they are perceived by you within the collective. And this concludes our lesson 4 for today. So class dismissed, and I will see you all for lesson 5 on Wednesday.